Have you said action yet?
Action.
Hi, I'm Paul Brodie, back in the shop, Mitch behind the cameras, and we're working on the Gator Blade Fork Crown today. Actually, no, it's the Woznot Fork Crown, so I misspoke. We're gonna make one of these crowns. I have a piece of metal, 1.5 by 1.5 inches, about 5 inches long. This is $10. Are you keeping track of metal costs these days? So we're gonna look at this fork, and I got some fork inside here. I got some fork blades. These are old ones out of the past, and I've been using them as paint masks. So they have a bunch of spray paint on them, layers of paint. So I found this container, and I put some lacquer thinner in the bottom, and then I put plastic over top. So we're going to have a look inside and see if the paint has come off. That's a good way of taking off paint. It's just lacquer thinner. It's high strength. Oh, look at that. That's cool. What the lacquer thinner does, it just bubbles up the paint and it takes it right off. So look at this. It goes right down to the metal, because I want to use these even though I'm basically recycling, because it's the wall thickness. It's an inch OD, and the wall thickness, it's in millimeters, or I know it in millimeters. It's 1.1, that's the wall thickness, and then it tapers down, and then from about here to here, it's 0.7 of a millimeter. So that's what gives it a little bit of flex. So anyway, this worked really well. It's kind of stinky, but we'll put it outside. And then I'm gonna measure this, because we have to bore. That's gonna go in like that at an angle. And we'll talk all about that, okay? I made this fork back in 87 or 88, I can't remember. And how I made the crown, I can't remember either. It's been way too long. So I've got a piece of metal, and it's the right size. So the first thing we're gonna do is to go over to the mill after checking the alignment of the forks, and we're gonna mill each end flat with an end mill. And then I'm gonna use the vise, a stop, like I did on the brake levers, on the brake calipers. And then we have to bore a hole, and I'm gonna use this crown. I'm gonna take this apart, and that's gonna set the angle, because I don't have a drawing. I'm gonna put it at an inch bar, and I'm gonna match the quill, the angle of the head on the mill. So that's coming up. First of all, we'll see how it's aligned. So this is a fixture I made back at about the same time, because I was into making forks then. And what this does, it shows the alignment of the dropouts. If you're looking here or looking there, what you want is an equal space on each side. And if it's a welding crown, you can yank it a little bit, but what I noticed on these is the spacing for the hub is 100 millimeters, and this spacing here has ended up at it's about 99, 98.5, so it's a little narrow here. So what I might want to do, because I'm not using AutoCAD in the mill, I just have to set it up to eyeball angle, I figure. Got to figure out the angle, and maybe I want the angle to be a little bit more so that the spacing is a little better. Okay, so this is not bad. It's pretty close. So the next check we do is we hold this in the vise. What we're checking for here is the alignment of the blades, and it's an eyeball thing. I'm going to look here, and again eyeball along the top of this. it looks good to me. It's not out, so that's a good test. And another test, these are all the fixtures from years gone by. It checks the alignment of the dropouts with the center of the steer tube. So that's where this comes in. So, and this is 100 millimeters for an axle. So what I have to do is I have to make this a little wider. So there you go, it pops in. Then you hold it up, and then you look here. You need to look down here. Can you see that should be equal on either side of the steer tube. So this fork is basically in alignment. And now we'll take it apart and hope later it goes all back together again. It's going to be interesting to see how much force is needed to take this apart. Or if I got a slot in here, maybe I got to open it up a little bit. Let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. There we go. I got a screwdriver which is really old. See how it's really rounded? I don't use it for screws. I use it when I need to, if I need to open up something. And this is quite smooth, so it doesn't damage. That's what I think. There you go. Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, that was quite nice. So that's the fork crown. That's what we have to make out of this piece here. Can you see that? Inch and a half, inch and a half. So I think what I want to do is I want to bore down at an angle like so. And then I flip it around and then I do this one. And then to get the spacing, I can measure from basically here to here, like that. And that's how I'll know if I got the spacing right, because I don't have a drawing. I'm just going to make it. Let's go over to the mill, and we're going to face the ends, take off the burrs, and then we'll angle the head, and we'll match the angle, okay? Going to show you how to do that. Oh, look at, oh, okay, that worked pretty nicely. What I'm doing now is I'm loosening the head, and it's going to move a little bit because we're going to match this. I got a 3/4 inch cold rolled rod, going to match the angle to this. So we'll see what happens here. I think this is the most accurate way. I don't know what angle it is. Probably, I'd say it's 2.8 degrees, something like that, something really small. And I might make the angle a little bit more so that the dropouts are spaced a bit better, because on a fork like that, aligning it is almost impossible because everything is so strong. And there we go, with moving it. Can you see that? So I have to match the angle now. And actually, I want more of an angle, a little bit more. I think we can go with that. And the angle on the side here is a little over 3, just a little bit over 3. So what I'm doing here, I've got these 2 inch pieces into the crown, and I'm going to measure from the inside to the inside. So as close as I can get, it's 2.645. So each of these is an inch. So if I add an inch, then I get the center. Does that make sense? So if I add 1 inch, it equals 3.645. So that's what I want. So it's going to be right about there. So I'm going from both ends. We'll see what happens. That's a pretty good place to start. Okay, that's what we'll do. What's going to happen here is that I'm going to take out, I drill the hole, it's about 7/8, so that's what the drill was. So I need a 1/16 inch to come out on each side. I'm going to take out a first cut on both of the bores, and then I'm gonna measure the size of the bore, and then I'm gonna measure from inside to inside, and then so I'll know if I've got the spacing right, because I'm gonna leave a little bit of metal in there, and I can make an adjustment for the spacing. So that's my thinking. This is what I want to see, if this is the right measurement from here to here. And I want to end up at 2.645, and I'm ending up at 2.656. So I got to take out a little bit more. I think that's pretty darn good. So we're going to put it back in there, bore those holes, and then go for the final bore. Okay, last cut. What I have to do now is to bore for the steer tube. So I want it to go into the vise like that, and I might have to take these guys off because I don't know if it's going to be large enough. See how big the vise goes, because otherwise that's a problem. Okay, that's going to work. So that's as far as the vise goes, so I need to take off the jaws, and then I can hold it like that. Okay, so we're on to the next step. Draw that, we're out by 6 thou. A human hair is 3 thou, so it's 2 human hairs. That's okay. So what we need to do now is to take this crown, and I'm going to put this into the crown, into that ID of the crown, and then we're going to hold that in the vise, and then we're going to match the angle again. Remember how we matched the angle here? We're going to do the same thing again, and then we're going to bore for the steer tube. And I don't know how round this is, but we'll make it work, okay? So I think maybe the slot comes next. I think that might be the best thing. So, okay, I'll see what I can do about a slot. Can you see what happened? I've gone through, but I can't go through here until I flip it round. So we're going in for the second cut. And it ought to match up because all I've done is to flip it round, that's all. So the height stays the same because it's resting on the mill vise. Here we go. So what I have to do now is to mill out this. And I think what I need to do, I'm going to hold it onto this. So I need to drill these holes now so I can actually clamp it onto this because I'm going to hold this. No, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it onto this because then this and this is at a right angle to the bore. That's why it ends up at an angle. So yeah, I think the next step is to mark out the holes and to drill the holes. You always have to think of the steps because otherwise if you miss a step, you have misstepped. I'm eyeballing here. Oh, looks pretty good. Five and a quarter, so 2 5/8. So I'm eyeballing here as well. So that looks like the middle. Pretty close. Looks good. This is what happens when you don't have a drawing. You don't have a number. So you just make it work. Okay. So if I look down here, I should be able to, I don't have any light, but they should match up like that. Thank you for watching our little video. Hope you learned something. Mitch and I like coffees. If you buy us some, helps a lot with the channel. You can watch the video, How We Made a Small Fortune. Please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you next week. We'll work some more on the Woznot Fork Crown.